Hi. So initially, I was going to talk a little bit about the importance of a grounding practice. Um, so I'll just talk a little bit about that, and then I will talk about this other thing that's been on my mind all day. So, grounding practice, that is going to be something. It's going to be something that helps you over time develop an inner stability so that when you're out interacting with the world, the things that are happening in the world are not going to so easily um, throw you off, whatever that means. I think, if you just take a moment and rem- just take a moment to consider what you are like, what happens inside of you when you feel thrown off by something someone says, does, thinks, by something that you see reflected in conversation or the news. Actually, just take a moment and bring bring yourself to consciousness, because that is also actually very helpful as you're going around. Some of us are just reactive, and we just react. We don't even know that we're reacting to the world. So I guess that's the first place, one of the first places you can begin. There's a lot of ways that we can come at all of these tools and techniques. So bringing awareness to how we get activated when we are thrown off our center. That's what I'm wanting to say there. So there are practices, and meditation is the one that many of us at this point have at least heard of, maybe even have experimented with in some kind of way. Meditation is powerful, and there are plenty of meditative styles to fit just about every person on the planet, I believe. So I'm not going to talk about the details or specifics of what that practice could be for you. You have the ability to do some research yourself. So there's also things like yoga, qigong, tai chi. Um, there are energy practices like kundalini yoga. The pranic healing community has very powerful meditations. That's all that's coming to mind right now. I think because I have this other thing that's more present with me today. But just to finish out this thought of grounding, the key participation that you are looking to offer is the power of your intention. So when I was thinking about what I could talk with you about in terms of the kinds of things that you could start doing daily to develop this inner stability, initially I was thinking in terms of meditation and yoga and tai chi and these formal attentional training practices. These are practices that teach us how to focus and pay attention and stay with the thing we're doing. Whereas general exercise, our minds can wander when we're running, when we're at the gym, when we're in a sporty yoga class. It's not necessarily about training the mind, it's more about training the body. So initially I thought, that's not what I'm talking about. But the more that I had the conversation with myself about what I felt was most important to communicate, the quality of intention is one of the things, maybe the thing that makes all of these practices meditative in quality. So, for example, or because, not sure which word it is, but you could sit in meditation with zero intention and just go through the motions. I'm going to sit here and breathe. I'm going to focus on this candle flame. I'm going to focus on my mantra, like whatever practice you're doing. But if you haven't set the intention, I'm going to be present with my breath. I'm going to practice returning my mind to this candle flame as the focal point, as the trainer of my attention in this moment. If we don't sit down with an intention, then whatever it is we're doing, it's just an exercise. That's not likely to take us as deeply as it could. And the deep for me that I'm wanting to encourage you to develop for yourself is the ability to stay grounded, rooted in yourself when you are dealing with, interacting with, navigating the external world. That is one of the greatest benefits that I have found in these practices. Energy, like learning to manage your own energy centers, learning to manage your mind, and reining it in when it goes wild somewhere with an idea or a thought that's maybe more debilitating to you in your relationships than it is like life affirming. So I think that's a little bit of a ramble, and I'm gonna have to come back to that. But the way that it ties in with what I actually like to speak about today is that it is very possible and very likely that a number of you, if you are able to be quiet enough in your life for any amount of time, you will start to notice when it feels like the world has pulled away. And it could be the world of your friendships, your family, the people that you are used to maybe having back and forth conversation by text. Like a lot of people check in with their people on a regular basis, and maybe there is a day or a period of time where you feel like you are far away. I describe it as feeling like the world has gone quiet, and that's what I'm experiencing today. So yesterday I had a lot of ideas, clear ideas about like what my creative projects would be today. And today I come in and I feel like the people that I'm used to being in communication with, like everybody's off handling their own world right now. Like there is an intensity to life right now that's requiring us to pay attention and focus on what's going on in our immediate surroundings. So that is happening automatically. And then there's this additional quality of like inwardness that feels global to me. So some of you may be feeling this quality. You might call it feeling isolated or feeling really far away from people, or not feeling motivated. I hear people describe it that way. Feeling spacey, some people might describe it that way. There are a lot of ways that you can experience this quality of stillness. That's another way that I will describe it. So I want to give you some more language for that. We may be feeling alone. We may be feeling isolated. And that might actually be something that's happening in your life with all of the changes and transformation that's happening within yourself and the world at large. So recognize that in yourself and say hello to the people who are your network and your community. Like reach out to people and say, hey, you were on my mind, whatever it is you need to say. My point there is make those connections if it is isolation and feeling lonely. And for a lot of us more and more, it is also this call to be still, to be quiet, to listen. And that takes practice. I cannot tell you what you are listening for or what's being communicated to you, but it is in these still, quiet moments in the world and in ourselves where we can get clarity, we can get direction, we can receive confirmation. Information is available to us in these quiet spaces. Our drive to be constantly in a forward-moving expression, it needs moments of stillness. So today feels like a moment of stillness, whereas yesterday I thought I was gonna have all of these things that I was gonna be producing today, and that doesn't seem to be the way of today. I wouldn't say my thoughts are scattered, but some of you might feel like your thoughts are scattered. Some others of you might feel like your thoughts are just at the deep end of a well and you can't quite get to things as clearly and succinctly as you're used to. There's just a quality of quiet in yourself, in the world, but if you're not used to being with that, being with quiet, being with stillness, there might be an anxiety about needing to do something, needing to move through something, needing to push through, needing to be active. So I'm encouraging you to allow yourself the still, quiet, maybe distanced moments from the world. I was going to say because they can be times of gathering in resources, and oftentimes it won't even be resources. We won't necessarily know what we're gathering or what we're making space for, but I'm encouraging you to be willing to allow the quiet and the stillness and the non-doing to be part of your experience in this human experience, because there is a lot of value in it. We don't necessarily recognize or see or feel what that value is while it's happening, but if we allow these quiet times, over time, we discover resources within ourselves that maybe we weren't aware we had. Ideas, inspirations, less reactivity. So I used the word reactive earlier in this video, and I used it deliberately because there's a difference between reacting to something and responding to something. And responding has a level of creativity to it, whereas reactivity is habitual. You know, we're stuck in a pattern with something. So when we have grounding practices, whatever those are that you choose them to be, that develops, it's like developing muscle in a gym or developing cardiovascular strength with whatever exercise program we have. Grounding practices, meditation, breath work, energy work. It could be divination, like daily divination for some people, daily dream work. There are ways that there are multiple ways. I don't want to box anyone in. That's what I'm saying there. So what's key is that you are intentional about it rather than habitual, in the sense that your mind checks out, or in the sense that the participating part of you checks out of the experience just so that you can say, I did the thing. And then, I lost it. Consistency. Whatever that grounding practice is, we want to be consistent. So every day, or 3 days a week, or 4 days a week, like, it needs to have consistency, because it's a cumulative building of strength, of spiritual muscle, of spirit muscle. Like, just like the gym, I think about the gym so much in terms of these practices, because if we want our, I was going to say subtle bodies to change, if we want to experience development in an area, language is another area where we have to show up and practice. So it's no different with developing these inner resources. We show up on a regular basis, we do the practice, and we do it with intention, with awareness. That over time lends itself to responsibility over reactivity. Okay, so I've kind of merged two different topics into this one, but they've been on my mind kind of simultaneously. So when I was just focused on the find a practice and make a commitment to it, my encouragement is, for that piece of the video, over the next few days, choose a practice if you're not already doing it. if you have a practice that's been very effective for you, and you haven't been committed to it, then now's a good time to make a recommitment. And make a recommitment. Put it on your calendar. Every day I'm going to do this for X number of minutes. And stay with it. And stay receptive to it. In terms of coming up on these times in your life, in your day, in your relationships where things seem to go quiet, practice allowing for that quietness to be a normal, acceptable thing. If in the past that has been difficult for you, if in the past you have felt like in conversation you need to continuously speak, you know, the next time you come into a situation where you don't know what else to say, if it is appropriate, which in my mind means it's not an emergency situation or conversation, let there be quiet. Let there be no words, and just be with that experience. And it can be uncomfortable, whether or not there's another person there, to be in silence and not fill it with action or whatever, physical activity, mental activity, whatever other kind of activity there is. Just allowing that quiet and stillness to be, that's a practice. So that's the other thing that I wanted to help you give yourself permission to experience the I was going to say downtime, but I think that there's actually a lot happening in that quietness, that our logical mind, our mental, intellectual thinking is just not equipped to navigate, or certainly not equipped to control, orchestrate, organize. It is there are many things happening on other layers within us in those quiet spaces. And when you come across those quiet spaces, even if it's just a few moments in a day, let them do their work. I love the idea of medicine, in the sense of community medicine, herbal medicine. We each have a medicine to offer, so that quiet time is a medicine for us. Okay. I'm gonna leave it there. Thanks so much for watching. I'm gonna play the algorithm game. I do like to play an experiment. So if the video was helpful to you, or if you think it would be helpful to someone else, please press the like button. We're gonna see how this game works. Thanks so much for being here, and I will see you in the next